Hey, what's up, guys? Today we have an interview with the new St. Anthony's East Angels U13 coach, Adron Chambers. When did you start playing sports, and what sports did you play when you were younger?
Oh, nice. Well, the first sport that I played actually was baseball. Back in Pensacola, Florida, my uncle ran the park, and all of my brothers and my cousins, we all played at the park. Uh, but football was my real. I really cared about football a lot. I had a lot of my teammates that played football that really looked at football as their first sport. Baseball was my first sport because my mom didn't want me to get hurt out there. So uh, it took a little time for her to get used to me getting knocked around uh, before she really accepted the idea of football. But yeah, back in Pensacola, Florida, Warrenton Ballpark, that's where it all began. Baseball, football, and the neighborhood we would play basketball. We would box every once in a while, just to see how tough we were. But for the main sports, I guess I would have to say was football and baseball.
Yeah.
Basketball too. You could say basketball.
Yeah. How would you describe yourself as an athlete when you were a kid?
Oh man, I thought I was a power hitter. I thought I was the strongest, the fastest. I had the best arm. I consider myself as one of I guess the word they use now is elite. And to be honest with you, I think every athlete should look at life like that. Whatever sport they're attacking is as if they're the best to do it. Because I guess when you're having to judge yourself, who's the best judge, or who's the better judge that can judge you better than you? I don't think nobody can. So I would describe myself as I was very fast. I thought I was the best, though. It's hard to answer that question because I always consider myself a special player while I was playing. But the reputation that I had that waved around was the fact that I was real fast and I could control the bat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, tell me how you became an MLB baseball player.
Wow, man, that's a long story. A lot of hard work, a lot of dedication, a lot of discipline, a lot of creativity. I think is the biggest thing. Is a lot of times, athletes they look at the major league ball player and they don't realize, how many swings they took when they were young, and going through high school and college. The preparation side of it is kind of forgotten when you see everybody on TV making these millions of dollars. But my journey to the major league was, nothing different from the average baseball player that wanted to be a major leaguer. I was the same type of guy. I wanted to be the best. I wanted to be a professional. And I wanted to get to the top. And at the top was the major leagues. Went through every level in the minor leagues. I did some really good things in the minor leagues. I broke a triples record and became player of the month, I think, a couple times. And that kind of stood out for me, for the coaches in St. Louis.
Yeah.
They seen what I could bring to the table, and eventually I got my chance, and blessed to be able to say that my first time being in the major leagues, we won the World Series. So I kind of feel like, I was made for baseball. You know what I mean? I was able to hold my own, I guess you could say. So
Yeah.
yeah, my journey was interesting, but a lot of fun and a lot that I was able to learn from and continue, what I'm doing now and coaching you.
When you played for St. Louis, who did you look up to as a mentor?
I had a few. I guess one would be the one that came to mind as soon as you asked the question was Edwin Jackson. He was a pitcher. Arthur Rhodes, Corey Patterson. I think the biggest influence I had, though, when he wasn't real verbal, but he played some of the biggest impact impacts of me being a part of St. Louis, and that was Yada Molina.
Mm-hmm.
He would tell me every once in a while that him and I's careers were similar because, he really had to prove himself. I told you I thought I was the biggest and the strongest when I was little, but when I got to the major leagues, everybody was way bigger than me. So I really had to learn my game and what I brought to the table. So I got tested a lot, and he would tell me all the time how he got tested a lot coming through the organization. So those are a few, but as crazy as it sounds, I think every one of my teammates played an impact on me. And now that I get a chance to sit back and think about it, that's exactly how it was. We all played a part in each other's lives to be able to number one, call ourselves a champion, but be able to say that we played on a major league team. It's a lot that you got to endure. So everybody pretty much plays an impact. But those are some of the guys that did in the beginning.
Yeah.
Career.
How would you describe a good baseball team?
A good baseball team is, I guess, everybody respecting the chain of command, I guess you could say. You know what I mean? It's when I'm a center fielder, I can't be thinking like I'm the pitcher. You know what I mean? I can anticipate, with what he's throwing and, what kind of pitch he is to set up myself to play accordingly. But I think everybody has to respect what each individual brings to the table. And at the same time, maximizing your potential. You know what I mean? If you're making yourself the best athlete that you can, and I'm doing the same, I kind of think that we will automatically collab, when it comes to being on a great team. We don't have to like each other, we don't have to hang with each other every day, but we do have to take that approach where, don't get me wrong, liking each other will help the situation, but when it comes to playing on the field, when you know how to play the game, play it hard, and understanding how important it is to help the guy that's behind you and in front of you. Like I said, I don't think you necessarily have to, go out to eat every night. You just have to be able to, take care of responsibility for a good team. A world championship team and a good team are two different things to me.
Yeah.
When it comes to being a championship team, everything, not only do you have to be able to work together, but a lot of things have to line up for situations to play out in your favor. You know what I'm saying? You have to be in the right position a lot of times to be a championship team. But to be a good team, you just got to be able to play with one another. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like what we trying to work on. Learning how to play with one another, and then us being a championship team will come as long as we learn how to play with one another.
Yeah. Who is your favorite baseball coach and why?
My favorite baseball coach, I guess I would have to say it was my high school coach, George Blake. He and I had that. If I had just having to name one, I'm gonna make a lot of my little league coaches mad at me. But my high school coach, George Blake, he had the team. He coached a JV team and a varsity team just basically by himself. And the enthusiasm that he brought to the game and the information that he was able to provide at a young age. He's still coaching. Been coaching for a while now. He's at another school, but he's been there for about 12 years. But he really showed me what it meant to be like a dedicated player to the game of baseball. Like he was sleep, eat, drink baseball. He was a straight up baseball fanatic. So he helped me understand, the importance of being a good teammate and taking responsibility of what you can to help your teammates. George Blake I would have to have him at the top because he instilled some things. Even him, he probably don't even know what he was able to give me. But I've had a number of great coaches that I was able to run into and I still respect to this day.
Yeah. What's your definition of a good baseball practice?
The definition of a good, but you got some good questions going on right here, man. Definition of a good baseball practice. I think it's organization, right? The manager being able to um, let the players know, what we gonna do for that day. I think having something every single day, I think is the best thing. You know what I mean? Having some type of drill, some type of maybe a base running moment in practice, or pickoffs, or you know what I mean. Times where we, as a team, we go on the field and we play situations, cutoffs and relays and things like that. Being able to break the game down to make it simple for us to learn it in practice, and then in game time, we kind of prepared for what is to come, because situations will appear. Just like if I'm telling you, you at third base, it's going to be situations that we do in practice that you might not see but one time, and that might be the championship game where you would have to use some of the material, but they will play out. So being able to organize the practice to where it's simplified and that guys are really, putting in their best effort to get the job done. I think that's the definition of a good practice, is being prepared and coming organized and playing and practicing just like it's a game.
Yeah.
If you teach yourself in practice how to play for the game will come easier to you.
As a coach, what would you do to help a player get out of a slump?
Probably give him more at bats. Probably do something crazy like put him at the leadoff position so he can. It's different in little league, right? Because sometimes you guys only get one or two at bats, right? Mm-hmm. So, that's going to be something I have to learn. But the only way to get yourself out of any kind of jam or pickle is to face it, you know what I mean? And understand that it's just a moment in time where all you got to do a lot of times is change the thinking. Instead of telling yourself, I'm in a slump, tell yourself, I'm finna knock the crap out of this ball.
Yeah.
And something as simple as that, your mindset and how you approach the next at bat is really the line between hitting the ball the next time and not hitting the ball the next time. I think a lot of times we put too much pressure on ourselves. We think about the slump more than we think about getting the hit, and that's really for us. That's the mentality that I want to bring to the table for us to understand that you're only in a slump if you tell yourself you're in a slump.
Yeah. Who's your favorite MLB player?
My favorite growing up was David Justice. I don't know, you know that name?
I've heard of it.
Yeah, David Justice. He married Halle Berry, matter of fact, and I think that's why I liked him. You might not know Halle Berry. Do you know Halle Berry? Yeah, these are names that, you might need to look those names up, but, excuse me. But as I grew and grown now, Derek Jeter became one, King Griffey Jr., Rod Carew. A lot of people used to say I played like Rod Carew or hit like him. So it was a number of great athletes, man, that I looked up to. But David Justice was one that I used to love the way he hit, the way he played, his style. And I mentioned him many times in other interviews where they asked me, who was my favorite player. I got to stick with old David Justice, man.
Yeah. What is your favorite MLB team?
Say that one more time.
What's your favorite MLB team?
The Atlanta Braves. And being from the South, you know what I'm saying, I always having them on TV to watch. I know I'm from Florida, and I'm supposed to like the Marlins, but and the Rays were very young. Even though I watched them, every Saturday I would wake up, I'd be watching the game. But my growing up, I got a chance to play with Rafael Furcal, who played with the Braves, Chipper Jones, and all these cats, man. I really enjoyed Fred McGriff. You know what I mean? It was a Greg Maddux, names like that, man. Those were some great athletes, and back then, where I was from, that's who you watched, the Atlanta Braves. It was a good team.
Yeah. I have one final question. What advice would you give for our 13U team who's playing in a 14U division?
Well, I got a book that I'm reading slash listening to right now, and one of the biggest things they talked about in the book is you know, first of all, facing your fears, but understanding the story of David and Goliath. I don't know if you ever heard that story before, but
I've heard of it.
you know, when you approach the situation um, and not run from it, a lot of times that's a win in itself. You know what I mean? We're not gonna win every baseball game. Uh, we're not going to. Uh, it's gonna be things that happen, you know. But if you give yourself a chance to face it, a lot of times, whether it's parents, whether it's coaches, we're more happy with the idea that you went in it, you know, maybe a little scared, right? Having a little fear, but facing the fear, saying to yourself that I'm still gonna give my best effort. I'm still gonna focus as if it was another baseball game. Not caring how old these guys are, how fast they throw. Just being able to face whatever you're going through. So it's this. That would be my message for our team. Is we got to be like David. Even though the odds may look like they're against us, we still got to face it. Whether we lose or we win, we got to take the approach as if we going to knock somebody's head off. And I think with that attitude, I think we'll find out that it's not about winning and losing. It's about competing with yourself every day. And at the end, when you compete with yourself, more than likely at the times you're on the winning end of the stick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what it's about, man. You gotta face them fears sometimes. A lot of times our fears getting out. For me too. This is something I'm still a 34-year-old young man, and I'm going through these same things that you are right now. Maybe at a different level, but facing my fears most definitely having to be, something that I gotta practice every single day.
Yeah.
But we'll do it together.
Thanks for watching, and a huge thanks to Adron Chambers for doing this interview.